On today's show, we are talking about the writing is on the wall. Oftentimes, there's little signals that are given we kind of ignore, whether business relationships or personal relationships that guide us or can be a guide. So we're going to talk about what those are. Let's talk about it.
Thank you for tuning in. We are Tristin and Michael, and you are listening to Fused, transparent conversations for marriage, family, and relationships. We invite you to join us as we discuss topics that are thought about but not talked about. So tell your friends and family to check us out. And as always, check out all of our socials at Fused Marriages, as well as our website at fusemarriages.com.
Hey.
Hey.
I had a beat going on, so I was like, I had to pause.
Oh, okay. You looked at me, I was like, did I?
I pressed pause in my head and the beat stopped, and I just like, you know what I mean? So
let the beat drop.
Yeah, it was not that kind of beat, but it was a good beat.
I bet it was.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to have a different beat in your head than what's going on outside.
That's true.
I'm just saying.
To each their own. Well, we want to start off today's show by saying thank you to those of you that have supported our short series, Pivot. I hope that it has been something that's been impactful. We are coming up on this next episode. So episodes drop every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we hope that you check it out and let us know your thoughts. Our goal in the whole series is to create conversation. So we want to know, as you are watching these series, what you think if you were to put yourself in those characters' positions, if there are certain things that you may have dealt with in your own life that connect. We want to hear from you. So thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you for watching. Please make sure as you watch that you're liking. And those of you that are not yet subscribers but are tuning in, we invite you also to subscribe to our channel because we definitely want to connect and hear from you. All right.
Most definitely.
So we're jumping into today's topic, and I'm going to let you introduce it because this is something that was on your mind.
Not right.
I told you I was going to. So it's been something that was on your mind, and I know you have a lot to say on this. So
I'm not going to have a lot to say, but I will frame it up a little bit, just a little bit.
Okay.
So today's topic is called The Writing is on the Wall. Oftentimes in relationships or just it could be in business, whatever, but situational things, there's oftentimes signals that tell us like, hey, you know what, something potentially is about to happen.
Okay.
All right. So I pull some 3 kind of general ideas that I've been reading on from, you know what, hey, can we talk about these 3 topics in regards to the writing on the wall? Simple enough.
Is it? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna let you keep going because I'm with you. Let's go.
Okay. So number one is history, right? The idea is that whenever there's some history involved where we have some things that we may have seen, we may have experienced, they could provide signals in regard into, hey, hold on, this is something I've seen before. Let me take a step back and see if it's something I need to apply to what's going on now.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you're saying that there are signs and signals that might be indications that something is going to go awry in the relationship.
It may not be awry, but it could be just maybe a warning. It could be not necessarily.
Is that not something going awry?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I don't want me like you say like it's something like, oh, like it's absolutely going to happen because you saw something in history, but it could be just to say, okay, hold on.
It's trending in a certain direction.
I need to look at this. Like, okay, hold on. I think I've seen this before. I think my brother has experienced it. My sister has experienced it. My mother has experienced it. And oftentimes we may ignore history.
Okay. So out of the context of history, just so I understand your premise, what I'm hearing is that there are these symptoms, these signals, these signs that say, pay attention, because based on these 3 things that you're jumping into, it might be something that signifies we're not trending the right way.
Yeah, I think yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I think you 100% agree with you. What you just said is just the idea that like, yeah, history could give us.
And that's the first one.
That's the first
history.
One. Yes.
So history is one of the things that we should be able to look at to say, Based on the history of is it the relationship or the individual?
It could be any of it. It could be relationship. It could be people that in your family. It could be friends. It could be work. It could be a lot of different things. But like history will give you an indicator of certain things that may happen later on.
At least your relationship.
In your relationship, yeah. Okay. I'm saying we're saying relationship. It could be business relationship. It could be whatever, right? It could give you. And if I'm like, hey, I'm a sports player, and I saw a guy like, he went out there and started playing. He hurt his hamstring real bad.
Okay.
And I linked that up like, man, hold on. He didn't necessarily stretch or take care of his body beforehand. That would trigger in my mind to say, hey, hold on. Do I want to follow that pathway? Do I need to prepare myself differently?
Okay. I got you.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
We were number 2?
No. I'm okay. So I'm just thinking through how we all can apply that to your premise of there are indicators in our relationships that say or at least that we need to pay attention to so that we don't go the wrong way. And one of the indicators is history, and that can be our own personal history, or that can be something that we have observed in time that we can also apply those principles to our own relationships.
Yep.
Okay, I'm with that. I think I agree. I think that sometimes I think the hardest part of that, and I've said this kind of thing before, is being reflective, like saying that, okay, this is what I did. For those that maybe have gone through a divorce or a difficult breakup or, and I guess I'll just stay with those because there's lots of things in history. But if you're saying, hey, I want to avoid dysfunction in my current relationship, then that takes looking at yourself and saying, okay, what have I maybe done wrong in my previous relationships that I want to avoid in this relationship? And that takes a certain amount of honesty, because a lot of times not a lot of times, it's just easier to blame the person that isn't you. It's easier to say, well, if they hadn't done this, then I wouldn't have responded this way. Or, if this had been this way, then that would have been different. Instead of saying, and that's not even that's not true as well, but it's saying, okay, how could I have been different, or how do I need to be different moving forward? And I think that's the piece of the history that's important, is saying, what role do I play in my own success?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's in my mind, I'm thinking there's this story, right? There was this king, and he was having some issues, this, that, and the other, and somebody came and spoke to him and said, hey, you know what your father did, right? You were a witness to what your father did and how his downfall was, and he was repeating the exact same thing. Which basically saying like he ignored, or maybe, felt that it didn't apply to him, and it caused him some harm.
Yeah.
And it took somebody else to kind of point that out. Well, I don't know if he didn't know it, and nobody else was, and then pointed out to him, or he just kind of ignored it. Yeah. But either way, it was something that, oftentimes to say our parents may have done. We're watching the issues and the downfall that they have, and we're like, okay, that would never apply to me. Not saying, okay, hold on, I got to put this in the back of my head to make sure that I don't go down that pathway.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting. You just pointed out two things. The first is not recognizing dysfunction when it's dysfunction. And then the second is recognizing that you kind of can carry that seed and plant it in your new, in your new territory. So if we were to deal with like that first example that you used, talking about the king and somebody else coming and pointing it out, I wonder, and this is just something to, just posturing, if we have people close enough to us that can tell us that's not right, like this is not working. And if we're willing to hear that, like one of my closest friends, and I have a lot of friends that will tell me that love me, but will also tell me about myself. But I wonder if we as married communities, or we as people, have enough people in our circle that are both for us and honest with us. Like sometimes it seems that there's like this mutual exclusion. Like if you're for me, you don't tell me I'm ratchet. Like you don't tell me I'm messed up. And if you do, then there's like an offense. Like, why are you saying that about me? Not that that's y'all, or that that's me, or that that's you, but I've found that people don't generally like hearing negative things about themselves. And if we do, then there's multiple ways that we can take it. But what it makes us is not safe for correction. It makes our relationships really void of depth because we can't both love and accept and critique or support because we're unwilling to make the adjustment or to have somebody see us.
You know why people don't accept feedback, though?
Why?
I think there's 2 reasons why people don't accept feedback.
Why?
2 general reasons, probably some other stuff, but 2 general reasons.
Mm-hmm.
1 is that they don't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
2 is pride. And I would argue and say, you know what, more time is trust than it is pride.
I agree.
And the idea we thinking like, you don't listen, they don't listen. No, they don't trust, they don't trust. And it may not
they
trust
don't
you.
trust, they don't trust.
Right. Maybe we often say like, they not listening, they not listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It's a trust factor. You know what I mean? If we even go to our own, like say our kids, right? Our kids listen to us because they trust us.
Yeah.
And at some point, you know, we get 18, 19, 20, 25. Hold on, mom and daddy just as crazy as such and such. So we stop listening to them as much because of the lack of trust.
Yeah.
Of really what they're saying. Not that we don't still respect them.
Yeah.
But it's a lack of trust. That's a side topic anyway. But yeah.
I like that. I think that's true. And I think it also depends that trust, that can be something that you've carried before. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, I got burnt before and now I'm applying it to this relationship and I don't trust you even if what you're saying might be helpful. Mm-hmm. So I agree with that. So thinking about dysfunction, like coming from a dysfunctional, you know, whatever family or relationship and not recognizing it as dysfunctional until somebody points it out, but also being able to make adjustments within yourself as you go, like, so that you're not the one that's carrying this thing on. Yeah. You know, it's being, again, I guess that goes back to being reflective. But yeah, I really like that. Okay.
Well, you sparked something when you said dysfunction. You said it a couple of times, right? Dysfunctional. And it's like, I think this is, again, a side topic. It's not even on our notes, whatever. Go. But the idea is that, like, we think we go from dysfunctional to this thriving state, right? Okay, I'm dysfunctional, whatever that means. Hey, you know what? I don't wake up till noon every day and don't do anything until 5 p.m., right? Okay. Dysfunctional. I'm a grown person. That's dysfunctional, in my opinion. Okay. Right? And he thinking, say, okay, I'm just gonna start doing. I'm gonna get a job, and I'm gonna go this, that, and the other. I'm gonna perform. People think that's to me. Step. It's like you have to go from dysfunctional to functional, then to thriving. Yeah. And you have to be consistent in the functional piece before you go to thriving.
I think that's the whole thing right there. Is consistent.
Yeah.
Because I think that people get tired in getting out of the dysfunctional mindset or state or whatever, and then you just kind of start reverting. Or, here's another option to consider, or you try to change everything all at once, and then you're overwhelmed because you have so many areas of dysfunction in your experiences that you say, okay, I'm going to change everything. I'm going to go to the gym 2 times a day. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to, you know, cut off my relationship, start new friends, you know, go different places, join 10 organizations, and you try to do all of these. I'm going to be in bed by 10 o'clock, drink 8 glasses of water, you know, and you start dropping the ball, and then you spiral because it's like you either fixate on the thing that you dropped or you're unable to keep all of those spinning while trying to clean your mindset, you know, and I think that happens a lot. I know that happens a lot. Yeah,
it's the baby steps that people don't often like. We have to take to get to those levels.
Mastering each step of going through these spaces in our life from where we are to where our goal is. So really interesting. Okay, so the writing is on the wall. What's the next one?
All right, so the next one is your current actions that you accept as normal, almost feeding into the kind of dysfunctional. Good lead into that. Accept as normal or right, but it isn't right. Right? So we often have these, if we grow up a certain way, you know what? I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna say, we know what? You say, hey,
tell all our family business.
It's just ideas come to your head. Be like, okay, that's a great example. I'm not sure I'm gonna use that one. Okay. But like, you know, I mean, we have this thing like, okay, you know what? We eat maybe at the countertop, right? We when we come in, we sit down and eat, and we thinking that's normal. Versus sitting down and having family dinner. Yeah. Right? And we just said that's right. You know, okay, what's wrong with that? It's I've been doing that. That's right. This, that, and the other. Yeah. But that's an example, but like that could take away in theory, right, from the family environment, us sitting down together and kind of closing out our day together. But there's a lot of things like that. That's a minor one, I think, in my opinion. Maybe not, because people need to sit more.
I think it's redefining what's normal for you all for like different families, and recognizing that it might not be the same when you come together, but ensuring that your values are congruent and that, you know, like, okay, maybe you do, you know, eat at the countertop, or you kind of walk around, or you kind of do your own thing, but at least once a week you come together and you look at each other and there's no distractions or something like that, because your value system dictates we're going to have conversation, and it just so happens that our conversation is going to be centered around breaking bread together, having a meal together. So I think that, you know, like what is normal for different people may vary, but it's important that the value system is the same. And I think when you bring that into the context of this writing on the wall, I think what different people see as, you know, normal can be criticized by somebody that it wasn't normal for. And then it can become this major conflict in their relationship because your value systems aren't the same. You haven't had conversation around what is it that we want to have in our home or with our family. And I think that can kind of breed contempt, because now you're critical of me and my family. This is how we did things. And now I'm taking that personally, instead of saying like, okay, let's kind of sort through what our upbringing or how we see life or the things that we want, and see what fits and what matches, as opposed to imposing, well, this is how we did it and we all right. It's y'all that are, you know, jacked up.
Let's make it black and white then.
There you go.
Because like sometimes you're right. Some people have a preference, right? Where, you know, grew up different, this, that, and the other, how you ate, or this, you know, how you do your work. Let's say, you know what's not right is somebody shutting down.
Okay.
Right. But somebody could think that's normal. That, you know what, I get mad, I can shut down, I'll take a ride around the block and go sit in the garage for 2 hours, whatever. What's not right is somebody yelling at somebody, but they can take that as normal. So, but we carry on these things that we call normal, even though we know, like, hold on, something ain't right with that. But we still carry that on, right? So, to me, that's more black and white than kind of maybe a preference of different things.
I got you.
Those are two examples there of saying, okay, a lot of times we just keep living in what we know. Right?
That's it. Yeah.
And we use yelling. You know what? When I get mad, you know what? My voice finna go up and you finna see veins outside of my head.
Okay.
And we call that normal, though. We like, what? I'm just being me. No, that's not right, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not, we got to have conversations. Or the opposite of that, somebody just shutting down, you know what? I ain't got nothing to say. And you know what? Because that's what it's always been. That's how I'm always going to be, this, that, and the other. And that's not right. Or somebody not calling, you know, leaving work and, you know, maybe 2 hours late. It be like they don't call. That's not right. You know what I mean? So there's giving different, but we end up carrying those different things on with us. And to me, those are signals. Writers on the wall, something is going to be triggered by something that you're doing that you know that's not right. That's going to spark into something else.
Okay. I can buy it. I prefer those examples to just being like what we would societally say, well, this is the normal way to do things versus something that is more plain and contentious and almost kind of thought out. Like, this is how I am, deal with it, you know? So, okay, I'm with you.
Absolutely. We're on number 3?
Okay, yeah, number 3.
All right, so number 3, so writing on the wall, first one was history. The second one was we accept what's normal and we know it's not right, but we still accept it and do it. That's number 2. And then number 3.
Wait, can we say on number 2 really fast?
Yep. Your current actions that you have accepted as normal or right, but it isn't right. Your
current actions that you've accepted as right, and you know it's not right. I do think that there's something in us that says, like, man, I'm not doing the right. Like, man, I'm going out with my boys and I'm doing this thing, or I'm with my ladies and we doing this thing, and that's not right. And I think that what happens is, I guess this goes back to that first one too, is making sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that can point out. Because sometimes you'll be able to convince yourself it ain't no thing. You see him calling, I'm not answering his call. I'm out. I'm with, you need somebody to be like, girl, go take that phone call or whatever. I think that really building relationships, that I'm back to what I said at first. I think it's just so critical. I think so many problems in our marriages, in our relationships, can at least be addressed when there is accountability. Because if there's real accountability, real transparency, real trust, then you're really able to have people look at you and say, Tristan, that's not good. You're not doing right. and me to be like, dang, I can't really get away with it. I'm gonna, you know, like I gotta do the right thing, even if you know in your heart that what's right. Having somebody reinforce that, I think, is helpful. That's why I think, like, this whole idea, it's not good for a man to be alone. I don't necessarily think it's just the relationship. I think it's okay if you now are one. Who else? How are you not alone? If it's just you, it's just us two, no more, nobody else. Because if we're married and we're one, then we also need other people. So just a thought. Okay, go ahead.
No, I guess, I mean, you sparked something as you were saying that. I kind of agree and disagree at the same time what you just
let's
said.
Hear it. I love that.
About accountability.
Okay.
Accountability, I'm not trying to say people don't need accountability.
Yes.
But what I'm saying, what I believe is that there's a step before accountability.
Talk.
And right.
Read.
And that step before accountability, which we need. I'm not trying to say we don't need it. Don't misunderstand me. We need accountability. The step before accountability is awareness. And I have to be aware my actions, what I'm saying, what I'm doing, how I interact with the world, how I come across, in order to know that I even need accountability.
That's good. I agree.
So a lot of times I need it. Once I became aware of myself, more so, the more I come aware, the better I interact with the world and with you. Once when I was unaware,
oof.
I did that. I'm doing that. What? I mean, like, it don't even
nah.
It don't even trigger. Like, how many people we know? I mean, we can just friends, whatever. People we see, like, they just don't know how to interact with the world.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just lack of self-awareness. And so, like, the first accountability piece is being accountable to you. And once I'm accountable to me, then hopefully I can spread out and say, can somebody else hold me accountable? If I don't even, like, approach the idea of, like, hey, what am I doing? Why do I need somebody? I'm how am I interact? What am I saying? When I get angry, what happens? When I get happy, what happens? When I work, I'm working too much. Like, I'm like, I have to be.
You're saying the accountability reinforces the work you've already done, at least at a basic level.
There are people that we try to help. No names given here, but we try to help.
Okay.
Yep. And this is no. I'm not pointing anybody in this case just from the standpoint. Hopefully, anybody watches. They're like, I'm talking about y'all. This literally come from my head. But there are people we try to help.
Yeah.
And we can't because they're not aware of themselves.
Yeah.
We give them all the accountability piece, put everything out in front of them, lay it out, and they just can't receive it.
Yeah.
And I believe part of it, not all of it, is because awareness. Like, hold on, how do I interact in these situations? And I think once people become more aware of that, and I'm in the process, I'm not there. I'm not trying to say I've arrived in any kind of place yet, but I did notice once I became aware, I just started it catapulted me to a different level of just how I saw myself, how I saw you, how I see the kids, how I see the world. And to say, okay, and it's still a work in progress, but it helped me.
It's good. I agree.
Good?
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. All right, we go to number 3. We started number 3, and we kind of went and backed up. So history, first one, is number 1. The second one is your current actions you have accepted as normal or right, but it isn't right. Then number 3 is pride. And we're talking about writing on the wall, right? So oftentimes we think that I do that back to back, but either way, it's still relevant. What I'm saying is that you know what, we think that it won't necessarily happen to us. Like, you know what, I can handle it. And people often look at pride as like, and I'm putting pride in a different maybe category. Maybe you can maybe explain it to people a little better. Of I'm strong enough to take it. Not I'm strong enough. Not that I'm some arrogant this, that, and the other. I don't listen. But I can interact with people or the world in a way that, you know what? I don't care what happens. I'm strong enough to handle it. And what happens is, I think life happens, for one, and humbles us in a way that we weren't expected to. I've been there. I can write a book about it. You know what I mean? I thought I can handle it. Well, I got this. I can go through this. And then balled up like a baby crying. Not realizing, like, man, I had this pride thing with my strength was pride. People think of strength, I'm strong, I can handle this, that, and the other. I don't have to be vulnerable, all this other kind of stuff, and show any kind of, I got to be, like, but no, that's pride. And you looking at me like you have something to say? Okay. No, but like, so oftentimes, we're talking about writing on the wall, when we go through life and things are happening, history shows us, our own actions or where things we're doing that we know ain't right show us. And then pride, and I'm saying pride in this case in our strength of thinking, okay, I can take on whatever. The history doesn't matter. You know what? My daddy went through that. My mama went through that. I'm cool. You know what? I'm doing wrong. And I mean, that's how I've been doing it. I still got it. We still gonna make it. She gonna be good. He gonna be good. And like, but that's your pride standing up.
Well, and as you were explaining that, it made me think like it's almost a mask. You know, like it's like this a mask for fear. Like, can I? Or a mask for pain. Like, yeah, my dad went through this, but I got it. It's almost like it becomes this thing. There's this old movie called The Mask. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, man, love that movie.
With, like, Jim Carrey and everything.
Oh,
and
no, I'm just different masks. I'm thinking about with Cher. That's, y'all can find that movie. It's
okay.
Anyway, but yeah, I'm off. But yes, I know that movie too. This movie came before that one.
Okay.
In the 80s. But anyway.
Okay, well, I'm talking about the Jim Carrey movie where he would put he put the green mask on. It was like brown or whatever, and it would take over, and he would become this other thing. And when he would take the mask off, he would be back to his kind of normal self. But when he had the mask on, he would do things that he, as himself, would never do. You remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So when you were talking, that's kind of the image I got in my head, is that this mask kind of becomes, it absorbs these other parts of you. Like, hey, and society almost claps for the mask version more than the other version. So people think they have to have the mask. Like, I've got to be strong. This is what life has required of me. This is what people expect of me. I can't be moping around. I can't have these challenges or these issues. So you put the mask on until even you believe that that's who you are. And then that's the thing that makes you fall. And then we see humility on the other side of this thing. Right. But I think that in doing so, we have to recognize that as society, this is what we tell people we want from them. And so people make the determination, well, this is what I have to do to get there. So I think it's a big conversation and a little one. It's an individual conversation. What do I need to do so that I'm not wearing this mask all the time? And then as society, what pressures are we putting on our spouses to be this thing, or our children or our parents? Because, you know, there are no superheroes, but we expect, like, when you come home, check into this next phase. Like, I got stuff to say, I haven't talked to you, or it's time to be mommy duty or daddy duty. It's on and on and on until you are somehow, you know, lost and no longer yourself. Good. So I think it's interesting. That's an interesting thing that I'm going to have to think about. Hopefully you all are thinking about that, because I want to explore that last point that pride says that it won't happen to me. And if it does, I got this, because we do want to be able to muscle through life. But then what does that do if we never actually deal with the issues that life has brought to us? So I'll give you the last word. That's just some thoughts as you were speaking.
Oh, man. I mean, I think, you pretty much close it up. I guess, I think in life how it works, right? And at some point we all get weighed, right? Where we have to say, okay, where are we at?
Yeah.
We claim you know what, I have strength, or I have faith, or I have, you know what, I'm good. That will get tested.
Won't it?
At some point it will get tested.
Won't it?
And I'll find out how good I am. Now on the inside, how much faith do I really have? Yeah. Right? So the writing on the wall, hopefully it just points to signals. That's all I'm looking at, right? Just saying, it points to signals to say, hey, okay, just be aware. Be aware of some things that, you know what, that could help potentially maybe avoid some things.
Well, thank you for this conversation. Thank you all for being with us today. Please make sure that you give us your feedback, comment, like, and subscribe. And always, you know, let's talk about it.